Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 528. I had the black pieces. My opponent started off with a very rare move, b4, called the Orangutan opening, or sometimes the Polish or Sokolski openings. e5 is the main response here, and it's kind of a logical move, just putting a pawn in the center and attacking the pawn. So I played that, but there are other ways to play. You can play with d5 or knight f6. You don't have to go after the pawn immediately. And then b5 is a very rare response. The most common move here is bishop to b2. So let's take a look at this. I wanted to check this out because there are some there is a player at the club who plays this, and I was just curious. He was saying the main line is this bishop takes b4, although f6 is an interesting move here, defending. Well, I guess the bishop is on this diagonal, so it's not going to be delivering checks along or threats along that diagonal, so f6 is a possible move. But anyway, the line he was saying is a bishop takes, and then that just looks funny to me, but apparently it's an advantage to black. Why is it an advantage? I mean, I guess it's because white has taken two moves to get a bishop out here, and black has just taken one. So black has gained a little bit in development. But it seems like white has got two center pawns to black's one center pawn. So it's hard for me to see offhand why this is such an advantage to black. But let's see how it would continue. Normal developing moves with knight c6, c4, setting up maybe an English structure here, and castle. So black gets to castle quickly, knight f3, then maybe a move like, I wonder if d6 could be played here. Yeah, it looks like you could play d6, open up a line for this bishop, and kick his bishop back. Rook e8 or d5 are the top choices in the opening book. Anyway, let's go back to the game. My opponent, in this position, pushed on with b5, an even rarer move, so we've gone to, we're really out in the weeds here. So I played d5, it seemed logical, put another pawn in the center, and then bishop b2 would be the natural follow-up here, but he played d4. So we're totally out of the opening book at this point. I could take the pawn, or I could push on with e4. It looks like all these are good enough for an advantage. What's funny is that my advantage disappears after a while, so play a few inaccurate moves, and then white's able to equalize and even get a slight edge before too long. So I just wanted to say that's one of the advantages of these rare moves, even if they're technically giving up some advantage to your opponent. You play a rare opening, you become familiar with it, you have more understanding of what's going on than your opponent, who may be seeing this for the first time. So there are some hidden benefits to playing these obscure openings. On the other hand, if you face someone who knows what they're doing, you can also get into trouble. Anyway, for now, black keeps the edge. White shores up his pawns over here on the queen side. He's going to hold on to it. And I just do some normal developing moves. And here's the first little inaccuracy. I played this knight bd7 move. I thought it was kind of interesting to allow him to take and open up this c-file, maybe get pressure on this backwards pawn. But he's able to liquidate that. And so this puts him on the path towards equalizing. The chess engine is recommending either castling or playing a6, which I never really thought of, but it makes sense. He's got this advanced structure that he's invested a lot of time in, and if I can dissolve it, it seems logical that I should be at an advantage after that. Okay, so knight bd7, the first little mistake. He takes. I take back. And he goes knight to d2, getting his knight into the game. I castle. And knight to h3. He has a weird plan in mind for this knight. If you watch this game, this knight goes from here to here to here to here to here to here, where it's now looking at this square. So how many moves is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 moves to maneuver this knight around. Seems like a huge investment. What's surprising is that there doesn't seem to be any particular penalty. I guess this is kind of a closed position in a way. There's only this one open file, and he has time to undertake this lengthy maneuver. But pay attention to that during the game. It's kind of funny. Anyway, I make my second mistake here of b6. It kind of gives away this c6 square, which his knight over here already has an eye on. But also it makes more sense, I guess, to play a6 and try and dissolve these pawns. rather than playing b6, which freezes him and gives him this permanent structure here that he can play around with. So now he dissolves his weakness, this backward c-pawn, and after these moves it's just completely equal. So I've lost whatever opening advantage I had, and white even gets a slight edge along here at various times. So, but nothing ever big. It's just stays in the range of even to slight edge for white for quite a while. Yeah, the chess engine wasn't approving of all these exchanges. Okay, this knight starts on its journey. I bring my rooks to the center. He plays rook to c1. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. The engine doesn't want to exchange here. It wants to keep the status quo with a move like queen e7. I was a little bit worried about the defense of the d-pawn here, but it's adequately defended with 2 defenders and 2 attackers. So I can move the queen to the side, and then if he trades rooks, I get another rook on the c-file. So that's a way for me to at least maintain tension on the c-file, not give it up. So after this exchange, I play my knight. My idea with the knight moves was to try and bring this knight over to the king side and get something going over there. He continues his knight journey over to the queen side, and I go knight g6. He goes knight to c3. So he's halfway there to where he wanted to go. So I go queen d7. I wanted to bring the rook over to the c-file, make sure that's contested. He goes queen b2, so he can bring a rook over to the c-file too. Rook c8, rook c1. And now I wasn't sure what more I could do on the king side. I guess I need to get this knight out of the way so I can push the f-pawn forward to try and soften things up a little bit. The problem with mounting a big king side attack is I don't have really enough force for that, and the bishop is kind of locked in behind my own pawns here. But, well, there are still some possibilities. The bishop might reroute through c8 and look at some squares on the king side. Anyway, that's my plan. So knight e8, freeing up the f-pawn. He goes knight a2. Maybe better here would have been queen a2, immediately putting more pressure on the d-pawn. He does that in a little bit, but he does this knight maneuver first, knight a2. So there's some penalty for this extended maneuver. But now the knight has finally made it. The knight has gone from this square, no, sorry, from here to here, to here, to here, to here, to here, to here. Quite an amazing feat. Let's see. I continue with knight e7. I want to defend this pawn. I'm just once again attacking it. He trades off the rook. Cancel that. Oh, I took back with the knight. Yeah, I wanted to have the queen supporting the d-pawn there. And although I'm not quite sure how this knight is getting back into the game. Let's see what happens here. Queen c2. Okay, he left off the pressure on the d-pawn, so the knight just goes back to d6. I plays h3, and I finally get on this move f5. He goes f4, sealing things off, and yeah, I didn't think taking en passant and opening things up was to my advantage, and the chess engine doesn't list that as one of the options, so it doesn't really help here. I just played king f7 to get my king off the back rank, maybe get it a little closer to the center for the middle game here. We're not too far away. We just need to take the queens off, and we'll be in. For the end game, just the queens have to go off, and then we'll be in an end game. So we're getting closer. Anyway, he goes back to a2, taking a look at this pawn again. The knight drops back to e8, defending, and then he brings his king forward. So I play h6, maybe preparing to expand a little bit on the king side. And right here, white makes the losing blunder. So up until this point, the game has been even. Pretty much out of the opening, I had the advantage, but I gave it up, and then after that it's been even the whole way. But this move kind of gives the game away. This is his trump card was his big space advantage over on the queen side, and he just left his b-pawn undefended here. He may have been relying on his attack and his pressure on the d-pawn, but my queen still defends the d-pawn from the side, so just lost a pawn. Anyway, a6 maybe is the best way to hold on to the a-pawn. He plays a move that just gives up a second pawn, but you can see it really the evaluation really swung in black's favor. So I should probably win this with good play. Anyway, he didn't play the best move here. He played queen a3, and I grabbed another pawn, and I'm thinking of taking this knight here. So knight drops back to a2. And now I'm just maneuvering a little bit with my queen. maybe getting out of the way for my knight to come in and challenge his knight. He plays g4 here. I shore up the king side. And then he comes over here to knight c3. So knight c3 let go of this b4 square. So I pounce on that with my queen. He doesn't want to trade because this would just give me a winning endgame. So he drops his queen back to a1. And now my knight can start coming into these squares over here from d6. So finally I'm getting that knight to c4 idea, and brings this king over to defend the knight. This knight was sort of loose here. It was loose, and so this knight was kind of pinned. So by defending this knight, he's freeing up the knight on c3. This does allow me to deliver one check. The king drops back to e1, and then I get my knight into c4, well supported now by the bishop and the queen. So instead of taking the knight off, which he probably needed to do, he played knight takes d5, and there's a nice mate in 3 after that if you want to try and figure it out. Okay, I'm going to show that to you. He took here and left his knight hanging, and here's the mate in 3. He resigned at this point, but the king only has one move. And then my knight comes in here to e3. The king only has one move. And then the queen comes over here to g2, and that's mate. So anyway, he saw that coming, and after queen takes d2 check, he resigned. So pretty nice game. Interesting tense moments in the middle game, and then kind of a sudden collapse. But, well, that happens sometimes. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.